Good morning, and welcome one and all, to Wake and Base. Maybe not my smoothest transition of all time, but you know what? I thought we'd start a minute early, just because the song was over. We love our Masayoshi Takanaka, but that's not why we're here today. We're here to finish up what we started last week in what was delayed from a ridiculous cold. Not COVID. Checked. Not COVID. But sucked nonetheless. Everybody stay healthy. But finally doing better. Finally, I'm starting to sound a little bit like myself. Please forgive me if I'm coughing and sneezing throughout all the stream today. But let's not worry about that. Let's worry about this. Yurie Kokubu, or Kokubun. I'm not exactly sure, once again, how to pronounce it. But that is who we are looking at here today, on my left side here. Her second solo album, Steps, 1987. Very good year, I have to say. And before we jump into our second side here, let's go ahead and say good morning to everybody and see who's chilling out in the chat here. Gotta say, of course, a big what's up, good morning to my homies Al. What's up, the GOAT himself? How's it going, my man? How's it going, my homie? Good to see you, my man. Layla, wonderful to see you. Good morning, good morning. Ooh, Unaware Fruit, what's up? Good morning, homie. Good to see. I love the energy. I love that energy. That's what is needed today. Because as we found last week, having a lot of fun looking at the artists, listening to the music. Really cool music. Man, that opening track. Oh, that slaps hard. I'm trying to remember what's that called. In your I Got You Inside Out. Might even have to listen to that later. We'll see how long this is. We also got some extended tracks on this Steps Plus 2, a re-released version in 2014, I think. We'll look that up exactly when that re-released, but it's got 2 extra tracks on it, one of which, Refrain. Very cool song. So we'll be checking that out. But what we were doing last time was trying to suss out what these synthesizers were. Because we were looking at the guy who was programming this, whose name's Takanori Umeno, somebody who I was not super familiar with. But this guy's got a cool sound, and we want to figure out what synths is he using. I can talk. And I found a couple high-quality inserts. We'll be looking through those and checking some of that stuff out. But before we get too much into it, let's just recap a little bit of what we did last time. So, switching on over here to the old research window. So this is what we are looking at here today is Yurie Kokubu, Steps. Now this is the CD version. Let me go ahead and swap over here to our other version. There we go. So here's our LP version. And so as I mentioned, this is 1987. What do we have this categorized as? Let's look here real quick. Synth pop, city pop, boogie, kyokyuku. That is a term we're going to have to look up because I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe that means city pop? I can't remember. Boogie, I'd have to say yes. Wouldn't think that this would be much of a boogie album. Maybe not in the way that you would think of, like Boogie Woogie. But man, I'm boogieing down. And the city pop, synth pop, no question there. So as I mentioned last time, I Got You Inside Out. Amazing. Let's go ahead and switch over. Here we go. This is the one that has, all the good nosh, all the info on it. So I Got You Inside Out. The person of interest, and let's see if it'll translate into English for me. Please. Thank you, buddy. Masaki Iwamoto. Not that I can't read Japanese, of course. This cat is married to Yurie. And they've been married for many, many years. I want to say like 30 or 40 years now. Long time. And we also found out that Yurie is still performing to this day. About 10-ish years ago, she switched platforms towards more religious praise music. But she still tours as a backup singer for Tatsuro Yamashita, which is pretty cool. And they have a history of doing a lot of backup singing for each other and doing things on each other's albums, and we'll look at that a little bit later, just taking a glance at what Yurie contributed to in terms of writing, chorus, vocal work, and just other fun appearances. And of course, one of my favorite city pop supergroups of this period, Shambara, a crazy group that was just too tasty to exist. I think they only had 1 or 2 albums before they're like, the world's not ready for us. We'll come back in a couple hundred years. It still won't be ready. Shambara, baby. So good. Okay. Well, hey, last good morning. What's up, Bobby? Good to see you, buddy. Oh, and thank you for the Thank you for the well wishes, everybody. I'm glad I'm feeling better too. I couldn't feel better without y'all's love. It's healing. All right, so let's jump into this here. No, not Dr. Cucho and Gregor Salto featuring Anne Brune Can't Stop Playing. I do like that song though. Okay, this is what we're looking at. Okay, Yurie Kokubu. So we are jumping in on side 2. I do believe the track is called Counting Down the Days. Counting down the days until we get to hear this song. Let's check it out, see what we got here. Everything. I want to live inside that guitar. Okay. Yeah. So many things. Oh, they hit me with the city pop stop, baby. Oh, there's that boogie I was talking about, baby. Dude, this is like the hardest working horn section ever. Listen how tight that is. They gave these guys like coffee and a Red Bull before they did this. Oh man, everybody's picking up on it, Pavillas. That guitar, baby. Oh, oh. Perfect, unwavering. My brain skips. There's so much going on. Oh man. Yes, I am a vampire. 89 years strong, baby. Still looking good. Thank you for the health. You know I can't die because I'm immortal, but I can get sick, so thanks for the love. Man, though, what is this? Is insane. I still can't. I'm still recovering from the intro. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah. This song is awesome. I don't know why, but it has that Huey Lewis in the News kind of feel, that like that bounciness. I think it's in the drums. It's like really reverb drums. It's not, you know, for how tight everything else is, the drums are just washed out. It works. Woo! Woo! Ha ha! Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, baby. Woo. I can't hit that note. That's awesome, man. Oh, what an opening track. What an opening track. Oh. Okay. Pavillas brings up an interesting point here. The comment of, oh man, that was a dope song. Yurie Kokubu, Counting Down the Days, first track of side 2 of her 1986 album Refrain. Or Steps, not Refrain, my apologies. Wow. What a song right there. So interesting comment from Pavilis. Sounds literally modern like it was made today. Not far off. Why is that? Here's my personal opinion on it. Everything, musically speaking, is generally very cyclical in how things move through in terms of popularity, form, all that kind of stuff. If you look, at Western music history, what I've studied, the arc takes a long time. The periods of going from something like Baroque to classical to Romantic, that whole shift took a couple hundred years to go through. Now that we have the internet and we can talk to each other and everything is disseminated and communication is so much faster, things evolve faster. And so one of the things that naturally happened after that Baroque, classical, Romantic progression, people started to go back in the classical music world. Then you started to have things like Impressionism, Expressionism, which was an evolution in kind of a more dreamy, kind of soundscapey direction. Then you had people going more neoclassicism, going more formulaic back to what was one generation previous to the Romantic period. So with that in mind, it's kind of this redigestion idea. So why do I talk about classical music? Well, let's look at music from the 70s and 80s. Funk, that kind of stuff. Funk, disco, or in our case, city pop. Funk and disco, famously, disco is dead. People got real mad and they took a bunch of records and burned them in a baseball field at one point in time. There were some very angry people who just didn't want to dance back then. Nile Rodgers, thank you for doing your work and surviving with Chic. You're G. Anyway, funk was considered, it's dead. Get out of here. Now, we look at starting about 10 years ago, I think of it as somebody like Thundercat. He was one of the advents of really bringing back to the mainstream funk jazz, this kind of fusion of these two things. And what is city pop? City pop is funk jazz fusion. A lot of it is. So with that in mind, combine that with the digital era, which this was the beginning of, where things were very much a fusion of analog and digital sound. So what would be analog? A real voice, a real guitar, a real piano. What would be digital? A synthesizer, the way that you mix the digital effects that you put in. At this time, the effects were most likely analog. Digital effects would have been very, very expensive back then and very, very niche. They would have been for things like maybe reverb or for like an EQ balancing. But even for something like that, I would think, no, they would have a manual rack, because that would be, at 1987, vastly superior to having a VST, a virtual, what does that stand for? Virtual plug-in? What does VST stand for? Virtual System Tray. Let's see. VST stands for Virtual Studio Technology. All right, well, doctorate denied. There we go. VST, Virtual Studio Technology. So that's what I'm talking about, studio stuff. So, to finish my point here, what I'm saying is people like to go back and revisit those sounds. And what is the sound that people are liking to revisit now? Mixture of analog and digital with an emphasis on the analog. So what's an example of something that's totally digital? Think of like hip hop. Hip hop from the late 2000s. That was all produced. The samples, it was the era of samples. Everything was a sample. So you're just snagging something else, EQing it somehow digitally, throwing in your own vocals, chopping it up. There's your product. By virtue of what you're doing, it's going to have this highly produced, kind of ubiquitous sound because it's all done the same way and it's all going for that same low end with vocal pop, some nice clean hi-hats and snares. Just an example. But that's why this is city pop now sounds so modern to us. Somebody in the channel was mentioning Ginger Root to me recently, or mentioned in the chat. If y'all don't know who Ginger Root is, I'm definitely going to get kicked off if I start playing any of this stuff. But Loretta, you can see I've listened to this song. Very, very, very cool song here. Love it a ton. But this cat is taking this kind of direction that I'm talking about here. This throwback to city pop. You can clearly see in the aesthetic of what he's going for just from these clips. But the sound is this kind of old 80s sound, and how he's getting that is using not only some period instruments, some period synthesizers, but is really mixing, this analog and digital thing, more analog than digital, and that's what gives us this sound. So if we go back now and we listen to the beginning of this song, which again is just going to melt my brain because it was so awesome. The thing we hear, and the thing that's really unique about this album, and I think Yurie Kokubu's compositions in general, the tightness of the brass and the rhythm, the strings and all that stuff is insane. It's so crisp. There's no reverb. It's like everything is exposed. You gotta go. Even when you're listening to the rest, and this is not a criticism, this is just talking about how crisp and into the game these guys are. You can hear a couple cracks where they're they miss some things because it's a group of horn players, but the stuff they're going for is dog hard, and they're playing it so crisp with so many staccatos and keeping it really on point. And what washes out and fills the sound? The drums. Weird, right? By being really splashy? No. By washing it out, making it not crisp, making the sounds expand out sideways. And that's an interesting way to fill sound, to use your drums with reverb, not your splash like cymbals, but just to use reverb on the drums to fill out your backing. Let's see what that sounds like. And a little Toshiki Katamatsu too at the beginning. So tight. Tight synth, tight keys. But it's that snare. And then hear how much when the drums finally do a fill, it's like it overloads your brain. That just shows you how forward in the mix the drums are. When the drums actually start doing something other than just... It's like, whoa! A very interesting arranging and recording practice. Very, very cool song. I don't know if I can say enough positive things about Counting Down the Days. Just like I Got You Inside Out, man, she starts off each side with a banger. Banger. Man, is a banger. Oof, it's a banger. Oof. Sick. All right, let's check back in with our chat here, see what we got going on. Bobby. Ginger Root is dope. Super dope. All right, Pavilis, what I was thinking about was the structure. The start has a great instrumental hook, and then the bridge has a guitar solo. It reminds me of modern J-pop, which follows this formula. Oh, now if you're talking about formula, baby, oh yeah, that's the formula. So by 1986, shoot, I'm trying to think, how long has this been codified? I'm going to say that this general song structure, the general song structure of what we're dealing with here, goes back to like, I don't even know. You could probably trace this back to like the 1600s, like back to hymns, even older. So why am I saying that? Chorus, verse, chorus, that kind of thing. That's old. Now, let's be a little bit more specific to this structure. So what structure is this? Having an intro, some kind of instrumental intro. Usually it's a solo instrument or it's some kind of sample of what's about to happen. So you have that little either intro or pre-intro. Then all the instruments come in. You've got your little introduction, which is usually one verse. It's the verse that's about to be sung with a solo or a thing going over it. So in this case, it was that trumpet. Then when she starts singing, the trumpets and the horns all drop out and she starts singing her verse. Then it goes into a chorus of some kind. Now, between that, you can have a pre-chorus. That's a very common city pop thing. And then you've got the chorus. And then once you're in there, you've probably got what I like to call a city pop stop, where they go ba 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 da da ba, bow, where you just everybody freezes and go on the and of 4 or right on beat 1, just like pow, popping back in. and then it goes right into the second verse. There's usually not an interlude between that chorus and that second verse. Not always. Then after you do that second chorus, almost always in city pop, they do a pre-solo chorus or a post-chorus, some kind of form there. Then it goes into the solo, and then it comes back into the chorus, and then you usually, in city pop, loop the chorus until you're done. And then, you fade out, or maybe you have an outro, but city pop, they funk so hard, they very rarely have an exit plan. They just, in fact, let's see, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that this song just fades into obscurity. I don't think it stops. Yeah. they had no exit plan. They're just like, how are we gonna end this song? Just get off the end and the song is over. So that's a very, very common form. So by 1986, that was absolutely codified. So how far back can we go finding this form? Well, Tatsuro was doing this heavy. When? Right on time for sure. That's 1980. So we already have that 6 years earlier established. Who was doing it before him? Probably Hiromi Hosono. Even though, he went way in different directions. If you listen to like Hosono House, his first solo album, which he recorded in his apartment, he was trying to recreate a Beatles album, like the feel of an original Beatles album, doing it his way. So he was taking that general structure and adapting it with, Japanese influence, folk songs, structures, things like that. So while I think that the Beatles are like the core of all of our current pop structure, literally all of it. You can find an example of it in the Beatles. I think a closer analog to city pop of who was a real influential cat in all this form would be Hiromi Hosono and then Tatsuro Yamashita. I think that's those are the influences, and then from this point on, that's the form, baby. Look at anime music. That is the form. Look at the pop music. That is the form. It really holds over time, and you can really play with it in many, many different ways. But that is what when we study music theory, that's what we're studying, is playing with expectations. You expect, we are trained from all the music and all the things around us in our society to hear music go 1 4 5 1. That's what we like. 1 4 5 2 minor 2. That sounds weird. 1. That kind of thing. You're playing with what people expect you to hear. So for us, when we're like, oh, we're expecting to hear some Yurie Kokubu, and this happens, who expects? Like John Frusciante. John Frusciante was like 2. How did they get him on this track? It's mind-boggling. Just a little 2-year-old Frusciante. He wasn't even in the band yet. It was still Hillel. Okay. I got to get on to the second track here. I'm just going to talk about this first track for an hour right there. All right. I'm going to catch up on some comments too here. Cool. So, second song, In Your Eyes, Yurie Kokubu, Steps, 1987. Let's give it a listen here. See what we got. I'm going to guess it's probably a slow jam. Oh, for a split second, I thought it was going to be Chicago, that you know your love was meant to be. Okay, sorry. This does sound like Chicago, though. I need a lighter. You guys know your theory. The 4, 5, minor 3, minor 6. Now that is Japanese right there. That is very Japanese. Find a good example of that. to these drums, they're just like. Phil Collins, eat your heart out, man. Let me get some other jams. Very interesting, because so checking out these tracks here. Whoa! Whoa, y'all! Whoa! Okay. Okay. I did not expect that guitar to come screaming in. Tajima is this guy. Literally just teased us with a sick guitar solo, and it was like, nah, I'm not doing it. Alright, this guy's done some stuff, man. Got Tomoko Ran. I love Hiroki Namba. That's just into 82. Oh, Tomoko Ran again. Look at Stephanie. We gotta look at this one. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, baby. We're gonna have to check out a Stephanie album at some point. That's just too glam rock to ignore. Okay, this is cool. I mean, it's like, oh, there's our guitar. Oh, no, it's not. That was her. Oh. That's when you know you're good, is when it's like, was that a guitar squeal or was that her voice? That was awesome. Also, there's a guitar solo in here that's like 2 notes where it's like, oh, I'm gonna shred for you. No, I'm not. I want to see if I can find that. Right here. I'm not gonna find it. Anywho, yeah, it's a cool song. Very much, man. Those opening keys. That is Chicago inspiration. Okay, now I'm immediately. I just have to do it. I know I'm just gonna get immediately kicked, but I have to do it. It's a little bit similar there. It's a little bit similar. Oh no, that's not what it is. It's I'm sorry. It's you know our love was meant to be. There it is. Yup. Ooh, so close. So close. Okay, very cool. Chicago. No. Yurie Kokubu. That's how easily sidetracked I am. All right. Very, very cool. Some good stuff in there. Before we go and talk about some song structure things here, let me just jump back in on the chat here. Make sure I got this in here. Oh, yeah, there we go. So Pavillas is jumping in here going, yeah, I used to study music theory. That makes sense if you're talking about Roman numeral analysis with the proper major-minor arrangement. You definitely know what's going on. Oh, you did it on your own. Very good. To get good at music, and man, I feel like I have superpowers when I recognize chords and songs. It is nice to be able, it feels really good to be able to understand what's going on. And I talked to a lot of people, a lot of students about this, about music theory. And, you know, how important is it really? How much of it do you really need to know? And the way that I akin it to is imagine a professional IndyCar race driver, and then imagine a professional Indy race car mechanic. And think about, are those jobs the same? Do you need exactly the same skills to do both things? No. Do you need knowledge of both things to do your individual thing very well? Absolutely. If you're a mechanic of the car, a composer, let's say, you need to understand very intimately how all the pieces of what you're working on, the engine, how they work together, and what they do. And this is the theoretical understanding of how we hear things, our expectations, sonorities, what things sound like, you know, if they're major, minor, diminished, half diminished, fully diminished, voice leading, how notes, how we hear things, how they move around, arranging, layering, all these kinds of things. If you're writing music, that can be one of your, you know, strong suits is theory, theoretical composition. As a performer, though, knowing all the deep intricacies of theory in the moment and knowing exactly what chords you're moving to is not as important as the feel of staying in the groove, listening to your tone, listening to others, being organic in that moment. And really, the best I can describe it is like the car analogy. It's like driving a race car, racing it, and being the mechanic for it. You need to have knowledge on both sides, but at the end of the day, you're doing different things. So as the driver, as the musician for all of us, or as a listener, which I think is more on the driving side than the mechanic side as just far as listening, you know, a little bit of knowledge goes a long way. So knowing just basic amounts of theory of these chord structures, or understanding, you know, there's a pre-chorus, a chorus, a solo, things like that. When something deviates, you notice it. And it helps you decide, oh, was that cool or was that not cool? Do I like that? And it gives you more information. But all that to say, theory is super, super helpful, but it's not the end-all key. It's just another piece that can really help unlock music. Very cool, though. Is that a mini Moog bass? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I've been looking through all these inserts, trying to find, where are they? I had them over here. Yes, I found inserts of this album, and it is such a weenie. It's not giving me the instruments. It gives me the, you know, the people who are playing on it, which I already have, but I'm still looking, still trying to figure out what these instruments are. Okay. Yeah, you can't imagine me walking around in real life, hearing a random woman screaming and being like, is that a guitar solo? I've done it. I've been like, ooh, who's playing that saxophone? It's like, that's somebody sneezing, dude. I'm like, oh, sorry. I make mistakes all the time. Hey, I'm a music mechanic. There you go. And that's the thing, you know, it's like, I would like to think that I'm one or the other. I think I'm just the dude on the sideline cheering at the race. But it is fun to be, I've known many mechanics, many musical mechanics, and it is very cool to see how they think, and I always learn a ton from them. Okay, real quickly, before we go on, I just want to explain what I was talking about with these song structures of expectations. So going back to the blues structure, this old structure, it's like 100 years old. So if we've got this blues sound, man, that is a horrid sound. I'm going to turn that down. So we got this ba-dum 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 bum ba-dum 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 Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, 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 bum, bum. Now, what's funny about this particular example is that these are all seventh chords, which we won't get into, but when you add a seventh, it adds an extra layer of ambiguity, you know, and it gives you more options of motion. But the big thing are these numbers under here. 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. 1, 4, 5, 1. These are the major chords that we have, some of the major chords that we have in a major key. So let's just look at major key Roman numeral. Yeah. Can I get that maybe in like a horizontal version? Nope. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Close enough. So when we're looking at a major, oh, here we go. Maybe? Yes. When we're looking at major keys, we have the 1 chord will always be major. The 2 chord will always be minor. And when we're building these, this is building it what's called diatonically. What does that mean? That means it's the notes in the scale. So let's take C major. C major on a keyboard. The best way to think about this is literally imagine a piano in front of you. And what you have to memorize is that it's always alternating 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2 black keys. So you can see over here on the right side, we got C, D, E is close to F, G, A, B is close to C, and now we repeat over and over and over and over. So if you can think about this, this is like the key, because now you can think, well, what are my half steps and my whole steps? If it's right next to itself, it's a half step. So C, C sharp, half step, D. So D is a whole step away. So if we're looking at our C major scale, it's whole step to D. It's all the white keys. Whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C. So if we go C, E, G, that's major. D, F, A, that's minor. So I'm building chords. E, G, B, that's minor. F, A, C, major. G, B, wrap around D, that's also major. Wait, am I still on 5? Yeah, that's 5. So now if I go back here, this is what this sounds like if you go through all these chords. So major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. I really hope that that horrid organ didn't kill everybody over there. So these are our standard chords. Why did I go through all this nonsense? We expect 1, 4, 5, 1. If you do a deceptive cadence, which is very Japanese, you go 1, 4, 5, 3, 6, 1. And let's hear what that sounds like now. 4, 5, 3, 6. Oh, they're just keep gonna go 2, 5, 1. What's another one? Okay, so they got that one right there. So what's happening here? We've got a circle of fifth progression here. Let me see if I can find this now. So what did they just do? 4, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. So if we go 5, 6, 7. So we start at 5. 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3, 3, 2, 1. Hold on. 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 3, then down to 4. Oh man, what is that? This is a crazy. How does that work? 'Cause this is not a circle of fifth progressions. So this is just a deceptive circle. Right, here we go. Oh man, this is complicated. So this is a cool video. What this guy's doing, if we go back to the top here. This is what's happening. This top line. 4, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. All the rest of these are permutations, different arrangements, inversions, which is where you put notes in different places. It's the same notes, you just put them in different places. And this is just showing you all the different ways you can do this. Let's see what this is. Oh yeah, sliding through all the E flats. Yeah. 5 of 7. So that is a half step slide, going from E to some kind of E flat, doesn't matter what kind, to D. Just sliding down by a half step there. I'm getting way into the theoretical weeds. So all of this discussion that we just had, all of this stuff, does it really explain what's going on here? No. And that's for two reasons. One, I'm not the best theoretical explainer on the planet. And number two, this stuff takes a lot of time to ruminate upon and to think about. But if this is all just unfamiliar nonsense chaos, doesn't make any sense to you, the best way to think about it is there are different structures that have different sounds. And if you think of anime music, if you think of, you know, anime intros, city pop, J-pop, K-pop, any of this Asian music, pop music, that is the form. It's this, and I've already lost it here. It's this right here. This 4, 5, 3, 6. They love going from these major 5, and we should go to 1. No. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to a minor chord. Let's go to a minor 2. Let's do something different to extend that return to 1. So it's really stretching it out and making you want to come back to that core key. So there we go. That's my TED Talk. And we're already, an hour in, 40 minutes in, and 2 songs. You know how we like to do it here at the channel. Okay, next song, Margarita. I can only hope that this is a Jimmy Buffett tribute. I can only hope. Let's see what we got. I have no idea what's about to happen. Yeah. There you go, chat. Literally every city pop song uses this chord progression. And that's the sound right there. So what we have here, 1 chord. This is an interesting chord progression. Oh yeah. Now we're city popping. And there's that half step shift. Oh, they don't do it the second time. But the first time they did this half step motion to get up to the 5 instead of doing something else. So what we're doing is using the bass going up a whole step to change the emphasis of what chord we're playing. So again, just to outline this, we've got a chord, B, the piano, and the bass, boom, 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 boom. It's just going up back and forth from a whole step. What that does, though, is it aurally tricks our brain into thinking of another chord. It implies another chord in our brain, because if you rearrange those notes, you can get 2 different chords, because it's a 7th chord, It has some kind of seventh or suspended quality. Chiyam bam 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 briadum. This is our main chord. Ba da bum. That's our extra note. Yum ba da dum. So if we listen to that. Now, it implies a different chord. Yum. And now we're into a new section. But that's just one way you can use what's called psychoacoustics to trick people into thinking they hear things that's not there. Very cool. Here's our little pre-chorus breakdown, or pre-solo, I'm gonna guess. So it's a little, yep, and there's our solo. Got a little yacht rock, little Loggins and Messina. Filling out the background with strings, crescendo, washing out her voice. Getting really sparkly, and then my guess is they're going to bring it back in with a big splash, and it's going to be real tight then. How did I know? I've listened to a lot of city pop. And this is what I was talking about earlier. You start to expect certain things in the form, and when they do something different, then it's like, oh, like that was different. I didn't see that coming. Let me rewind here. So again, we're building. And so I'm going to think, oh, we're doing another one of those builds. Oh, we're in a different section now. Okay. Cool. And then it pulls you into another section. Yeah, there's that half-step motion. Very cool. And I can just already tell by how this groove is rolling. This is going to be another one that we're just going to fade out. I don't think we're going to properly end this song. It's just going to kind of roll, and then we'll be done. I guess I've never really thought about that, but that's a pretty interesting idea. Because in classical music, there really is no such thing, or very rarely is there such a thing as you just loop the ending and get quieter and quieter, and then you're done. No, it has an ending, classical music speaking. So, for so many of these pop songs, I don't know when this all started. Again, I always want to throw everything on the Beatles' shoulders. I just love my Lennon, McCartney, my Ringo, and my Harrison. But, sorry, Pete Best. But he was the original drummer for the Beatles who got kicked out on, like, the day before their big break. It's a rough one, but it was the right call. Anyway, this idea of having songs that don't end and they just fade out, it's an interesting concept to me, because it works great for DJing, mixing, keeping a vibe going. You know, you can just roll one song into another, but I don't know. What do y'all think? I'm not going to go so far to say lazy, but it's interesting. I don't know. I think it's much, much more difficult to end a song properly than to let it just roll on. Tell me what you think. I don't know. All right. Okay. There's a question here. What subjects do I usually teach? What I usually teach is violin. I'm a technique guy. That's what I know really, really, really well. Same thing on bass. Technique. I know how to really interact with your instrument. Not to get all Zen koan on it, but the extension of it, as the instrument is an extension of your body and it's an extension of your expression. It's the truth. It really is the truth. You have to feel as comfortable with it as you feel, with your own body. And if you're somebody like me who is not very coordinated with their own body, then you really have to focus in and go, okay, what's happening here? What are the mechanics of this instrument? How does it function? Use that information to inform how I approach the instrument. So that is my, I would take the Pepsi challenge against anybody on the planet, against how to teach those two instruments as far as approach goes. Now, talking about theory, you don't want to learn your theory from me, baby. Because I can do it, but I'm slow. And when you ask excellent questions like Pavilis is asking here, who is self-taught, you have reached about the level of competence that I have as a full professor, doctored, solo instrumental musician, because I never studied theory as my main thing. And for violin, which is not a monophonic instrument, that means one note at a time, we can play chords. But the way that we tune, the way that we think is way more individual chord or, more individual note based, nowhere near as much theoretically based, analysis and understanding, because it doesn't help us nearly as much as it helps a pianist, for instance. Because a pianist, if you know the chord, you can look down and play the chord. It's not the same way on the violin. If you know the chord, you can't just play the chord. You have to spell it out, and you can't get all the notes because you don't have enough strings to stretch to get all these notes. It's not as versatile of an instrument. Potatoes. Anyway. Okay. Going back now. So we are now on the last track of the original release of Steps. So this is the 1987, October 21st, Yurie Kokubu. We just listened to Margarita. This is now You Are Love for Me. And now we finally get Hiroshi Sato. So this is the guy, our keyboardist, who, yeah. Where have we seen him? Yes, Awakening. This is his album that was like, oh yeah, that's a dope album. He's got lots and lots of good stuff, but that's the one that I remember quite well. But okay, let's listen to that, and then we're going to check out, with the limited amount of time we have left, the +2 steps, the extra songs that they put on there. So, okay, what is this? That's not what I clicked on. Trash Ghost? Did you, have I lost my mind? What's happening? Also, I think my computer might be dying, which would be really sad, because it's kind of new. Oh, it's a nice piano. I do play classical pieces on the violin. Quite a few. One of these days, I'll pull it out. Start shredding some city pop violin, because there are some good songs there. I know Junko Hashi, Crystal Palace, has a great violin solo on it. Man, we're really hitting this Chicago synths. Whoa! That sounded like a Juno. Nice bass. Is this Tomohito? Oh, Kenji Takamitsu. Oh, a fretless bass. You can always tell from that. Or maybe this is just this is just an upright. I would agree, Pavilis. I always enjoy a nice tight ending versus just a spun out forever. Very beautiful song. I'm digging on this. Nice bass line. Very cool. Alright, I'm just gonna turn this down just a hair, a little bit here. Just to talk about our good homie over here at Kyo Plus, Jay Canuck, somebody who I've referenced many times. This is their blog, a really cool blog. I'm gonna put it, Kyo Plus. check it out if you have not. Really, really good reviews and just general overviews of these albums. And one of the things that I was reading on here earlier that he mentioned is this character, Haba. Let me find the first. Here we go. Hitoshi Haba took care of the words and music for a lot of these songs. And this one that we're listening to now is another one of his. Let's see if I can find it exactly here. Not In Your Eyes. Wait, which song are we on now? You Were the Love For Me. I like how he compares it to Toto-ish. I can hear a little Toto in there. And now they're getting to the B-sides. Yeah. That's a weird fretless beat. Now you see, that's not just an upright. That's an upright within a... Oh, that's a synth. That's a bass synth. Yeah. Bass wide. And then there's the synth. That's a synth, baby. Ah, they almost had us. Almost had us. This is beautiful. I put this in the category of middle school slow dance. You know, for me, when I was in middle school, it was Casey and JoJo all my life. Baby, 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 dun, 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 dun. You know, so this would be the song. Middle school slow dance. You just arm's length. You're sweaty. You're trying not to look him in the eye, but you remember you got to look him in the eye, and then you look back down, and you're sweaty. Good times. Ooh, Pavillis. Yes, you may ask a bass question. Let me see if I have an answer for it. All right. What would your approach be? Let me just turn that out a little bit. Well, what would be your approach to coming up with cool pentatonic riffs on bass? What I do is play a backing track of chords I know, and in between playing root notes, I improvise. Yeah, that's it. That's the sauce, baby. As far as what would be a suggestion or a tip to help you improve upon this is to take a I'll answer in a second. That's a nice way to end. Now you see, if she had just gone full Tatsuro on it and just properly kept her voice up, let the piano drop off, and then have it just be her voice singing, ooh, ah, end it right there, then I get chills, she gets album of the year, everybody's happy. You don't always have to fade out. Don't always have to do it, because, man, that would have been a really cool moment. Again, I say it all the time, right on time. The end of the full album, like 9-minute version or whatever it is that's on the album, Tatsuro fades the song out right on time, and then Tatsuro chorus, and he does this whole big thing, and then he, ends it and with this barbershop quartet thing of himself. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I love it. Okay, so going back to Pavillis, to answer your question, when you're trying to write bass lines and you're trying to improvise, excellent starting point, which is know what your roots are and start playing notes in between there. That's, if you're trying to make a riff, that's great. If you're trying to make a bass line, that's probably a recipe that's going to get you in trouble for being way too busy. I'll give you an example here. Let me go ahead and switch the channel on over to this one. There we go. And pull out the old bass. And then come over here, turn on the bass, and then come back over here. Okay, cool. So let's just do the most basic line. Let's say I'm going from here, So I'm on my 5. This is an A to a D to an E, going back, and that's my line right there. So if I wanted to add notes, all I'm doing is doing 5-1 like a power chord. Dum dum bum bing bum bum bum. This is the least invasive thing I can do, but adds a little bit of spice. If I start going too crazy though, now I've made it super funky. I've made it all about the bass. I have no idea if that's what fits in the song that I'm doing, but I've automatically become super busy. Here's what I would suggest for you. If you've got that line, see how few notes you can play and have it still make sense. Even though that rhythm was crazy, think if I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Things like that. Play around with the rhythm. When do you enter? When do you exit? How long are you holding your notes? How short are you holding your notes? Are you going to be doing this note, the 5th fret on the E string? Or are you going to do open A? It's the same note, doesn't sound the same. Brighter, darker. Easier to hear, more muffled. B string, more muffled. It's the same note. It's the same note. If you ever play a show and you really want to mess with somebody, that's what you can do, is just do. There, where is it? There it is, octave up. So that's what we call timbre. Timbre is the same note, different sound. Same note, different sound. Same note, different sound. So that's my suggestion to you, is to play around not with what can I add between the notes, what can I subtract? And that's, of course, after you've already done your first step, which I think is excellent, which is what you mentioned here. I'm just recording myself, going over a backing track. I like this, I don't like this, blah, 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 blah. What do I do next? See what you can take away from the thing you like and have it still be something you like. Less is more is always a good rule of thumb, especially when you're starting out, when you're composing. Unless you just find something that's like, this is what I want, this is the riff, this is the thing, then make it whatever you want, and then everything else serves that thing. So that's another thing you have to think about. Are you trying to do a true collaboration between all instruments and voices, or is one person the soloist and everybody else supports it? It's a way to think about it. Oh yeah, the super busy version made you groove so hard. Well, if you want to get that funk sound, baby, if that's what you're going for, it's keep it tight and bursty. So what does that mean? Bursty means a burst of motion. So I've got so I'm making sure I have space in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. I missed wrong notes. But you get what I'm doing there, where I'm adding bursts of motion separated by silence. Another great thing when you have that. You can go from real tight to open and smooth, and that contrast pops really nice because people are getting into this. Oh, yeah. Oh, and it smooths out. It's very nice. All right, well, if you're wanting to come up with more busy bass lines, last thing I'll give you, work in the box. What is the box? Whatever note you pick. So let's stay with what I've started with. I'm on the 5th fret of the E string. That's an A. So that's 5th fret A, then 7th fret D, 7th fret A, 7th fret D. And that gives you the box shape. 5, 7, 7. I can move this around. 3, 5, 5. I can move it up. 8, 9, 9, or 8, 10, 10. But this is our power chord on the bass. And if you think in that shape of 5, next string, 5, 7, next string, 5, 7, that's your main thing. I can do so much with just those notes. If I really want to get funky, add the 6. So 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. And then if you really want that last note, on your first string, whatever that is, it's not a 7, it's an 8. So it's going to be 5, 8, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. And look at that. It's the blues pentatonic. With one extra note. That's all it is. And you just play around with notes inside of that. And then when you change to a different chord, you move that whole hand pattern to that chord, repeat. That's the most basic way to have a funky structure to move around from place to place. Hey, I'm glad. Okay, that makes me feel good. I didn't ruin somebody's day. It sounds like this was helpful to them. Good. Good. I'm glad you like the burst notes idea. Yeah, man. But all this stuff, to me, it's like I've been doing music professionally for over 15 years. I've been doing music for over 20 years, really thinking about it, working on it. And every day, man, it's, one sentence, one idea will open up a whole new world. So I'm so happy that this idea of bursts, start thinking about that silence, burst of notes, a little bit of silence, goes a long way. It's a nice little spicy accent. Okay, now wrapping up with some bonus here, because I know I'm a little bit over time, but I still want to give proper respect to steps +2. Get these last 2 tracks out here. So let's go ahead and see if I can just type this into YouTube and see what I get. My poor YouTube is just so sad these days. It's running so slow. Don't even know why. Okay, cool. It looks like there's a little music video for us too. Let's see here. Now, I had an English translator. Here we go. As it flows, fallen flower, flowing water. This is cool. He's playing flute, baby. This is cool. Still got that reverb drums. Little chrono trigger in there. Hey, this did come out in 2014. This is cool. Alright, I'm gonna try to take one last shot at finding this stupid insert. Oh yeah. There's that 4, 5, 3, 6. Oh. 7-1. So there's that unexpected chord. I don't know what it is, I just know it's unexpected. I'm not a mechanic. Man, this is all I can find, dude. That's a good hook. Simple, singable. That's another thing when you're writing music. If you are thinking of a hook, sing it. It has to be singable. Even if it's complicated, you have to sing it. Then your stuff will start to come together. This does not help me. Does this have the actual ones? This is 9 minutes? Surely not. Gonna find out. Maybe we are. Maybe not. If this is really 9 minutes long, we're not hitting that. Sorry, Yurie. Okay, we'll take a little guitar solo. Unless it's like a 4-minute guitar solo. Okay, it's shreddy. It's a little shreddy. My voice got really high there. A little shreddy. Ba, 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 ba. See, I just heard the song and I can sing it. That's when you know you got a good hook. Alright, I bet that guitar solo was our homeboy here, Kinji Kitajima. Alright, last time I'm going to switch back and forth between these two. I just got to get that. I think the last track is refrain. Yeah. Refraino. And it just goes and goes. I bet these are the last two songs. Yeah. Yep. I want to hear it on its own, though. Yeah. Here we go. Man, look how slow my computer is. What's wrong with YouTube? Actually, it's probably Chrome. This just sounds like Tenchi Muyo to me so hard. Oh, that synth! That's what I'm talking about. Oh. Okay, personal opinion on this. This is what you're going for. We are guitar junkies. We all love that sound. Comes in with that da-da-da-da, and it's like, okay, another spicy guitar song. Give it to me. Comes in the second time, gives us half the notes on the offbeats. That 1, 2, 3, bop bop, real fast, bop bop, and then the third time, nothing. Leaves us craving the guitar. That's how you do that. Okay, so let's get in here. 2, 3, 2. And it's like, oh yeah, give me more of that. All right, here it comes. Give me some more. I want more. I need it. There's a little taste. Keeps us wanting. So all this is really is a beat is just bass and drums. Keys are filling us out now. The bass becomes smooth. Back to that poppiness. This song kicks ass. Another good singing line. Ba, 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 ba. City pop style. Yeah. Great song, man. Okay, so as far as the synthesizer goes, could be a DX7. I think it's a DX7. Let's look it up. Let's see what this cat like to use. Little pre-chorus, I love it. Let's see what else he's using in 86. Oh my god, my inner knot is cracked. Oh, that's a cool cover. Show me the synthesizers. Yeah. Ooh, Hosono wrote this. I want to know what synth he used. I don't think I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna try, dang it. Ooh, that was a cool bass line. Real quick, let's just listen to that little fill. That was tasty. But again, such a great example to wrap up what I was talking about with this combination of all these things. The burst motion, where you've got silence, and then you've got a lot of rhythmic motion punctuated again by silence. We saw that in many instruments. The idea of changing our musical attack, keeping things really short and crisp, and then letting them open up and be lush, back to crisp. That idea adds contrast, adds clarity, adds lines to your music. And we have established Yurie just loves to let a song fade out. Doesn't wrap it up. Not a bad thing, just an observation here. Yet, I still don't have a definitive answer on what this sound is. Educated guess time. Yamaha DX7. Why? It almost has to be Yamaha because it is Japan in the 80s. We've already talked about Cassiopeia being, for all intents and purposes, purchased by Yamaha. They provided every instrument. I question if they even created instruments just for those guys. Like, we need a bass. We don't make basses. I don't care. Make one. We can't let Warwick have this. But the DX7, super versatile instrument. It is such a ubiquitous sound of this time period. And yeah, I really hope to one day get my hands on a real one. That'd be super cool. But the big thing was this FM synthesis. What is that? It is a combination of real sounds mixed together to make these other sounds. So what's the definition here? A form of sound synthesis whereby the frequency of a waveform is changed by modulating its frequency with a modulator. So you're taking individual sine waves and you're starting to tweak them and combine them with other things. So it's combinational synthesis, which was very important at the time, which is a new thing. Okay, and now at the edge of my explanational knowledge of synthesis. All right, wrapping up here. Yurie Kokubu's second album, baby. Whoo! Those first tracks of each side are absolute bangers. So to review there, I Got You Inside Out, first track. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, just rocks your face off. Counting Down the Days, another one, absolutely melts your face. It's just such a cool song. Spoiler alert, one of these two is going to be what I tab this week because it's just, I got to do it. I just got to do it. It's just, I got to do it. It's too good. So, thank y'all so much for watching, for hanging out, participating. You know, really, this is one of the highlights of my week, absolutely. And right now, you know, I'm trying to find a job and get things going there, more regular job, not just teaching part-times on the sides here. So I was like talking with you guys, gets my teaching chops back up and gets me encouraged. If you guys want some more tips, or rather more resources to work on city pop stuff, go check out my Patreon. I've uploaded a ton, every song I've ever done. It's over 70 songs. All the backing tracks are now up on Patreon. If you want to just check it out and try it out, there's a 1-week free subscription. I think you have to put your, credit card information in there. But if you go and you just download all the tracks and then cancel your subscription before it charges you, I don't care. I'd rather help you than if you're hard up for $10. But if you have a $10 bill that you're like, I'm going to throw this in the trash can, maybe throw up my way. I would appreciate it. And at the very least, if you're really thinking, I don't know about that, like and subscribe is always nice too. There's my little shill for the day. But until next time, I hope you all stay well, have a wonderful weekend, and I will probably pop back on here and do a little live stream while I'm working on this tab some point today. So keep your eyes peeled. But until then, I'm going to try to figure out if I can wave goodbye. Oop. Let's see here. Oh, we got one last thing. Do you know about the free DX7 plugin called Dext? No, that sounds awesome. I just, I've got a VST of the DX7. It was expensive. I didn't pay for it. Anyway, we got something from 146 channel. I recently started playing the bass after watching your Airport Lady video. It's really cool. Hey, thank you. You don't understand much English, so I'm relying on translation, but I hope I convey my message correctly. You conveyed it wonderfully. And thank you so much, 146 channel, for your love and encouragement. And if you have any questions, type them up in the comments. I do my best to go through and answer all those questions. So good luck with Airport Lady. That's a hard one. That's a fun one, though. And I love you guys. And I'm just going to wave and just wave until I think that the stream is over. And I think it's